We wanted change, and I guess we got it. Big Deke news. Yawn. Steelers did make a change today within the hour, and that is releasing cornerback Darius Slay. So we released a guy that we pretty much benched last week. We made inactive for James Pierre, a guy that was missing tackles, getting cooked in coverage a fair amount, and just not being a positive contributor to our defense for the majority of the season when he's been out there. Like, there's a reason when Darius Slay was in the concussion protocol and then he became available, and Tomlin was talking about him coming back and maybe him and Pierre are going to split roles. Darius Slay is going to be a starter again. That when Sunday actually came around and who got the more playing time, it was James Pierre, not Darius Slay, and then Darius Slay was inactive last week. Like, there's a reason he got benched, so this move doesn't come to much of a surprise because we've seen this in the past too, where we sign an aging veteran with a name. We're trying to get him on a 1 or 2 year deal here, hoping that he could reclaim some of the glory in the Steeler uniform, be one of those guys that we could plug and play and improve our defense. But it just ends up not happening, and their role gets diminished. They become unhappy. They ask for release. They want to go somewhere else to play for the rest of the season. That's exactly what's going on with Darius Slay. Even though he's cut, he still wants to play with another team this season. Who knows who that's going to be? Maybe he goes back to a familiar squad like the Eagles or the Lions, teams that are in contention and he's familiar with. So who knows? But like from a Steelers standpoint, I'm not going to say like this was a no-brainer. It would have been a bad move for us to keep him for depth, but you know Tomlin's message, we want volunteers, not hostages. I could see Darius Slay, after how things have gone with his snap counts and him losing his starting job to James Pierre and Brandon Echols, and him becoming inactive, he would want to part ways and maybe get a chance to jump on to a contender late in the season and snag a Super Bowl or something. Or even just play for another team. If a team could use a guy, feel like they could use a guy like Darius Slay and actually have him contribute, then sure. Like, why not? I don't think there was anything from the Steelers standpoint holding us back from making this move. Like, is anyone complaining about this? No. Darius Slay wasn't really good for us. The problem is, just in hindsight 2020, I would have rather not made the signing of Darius Slay. Should have just kept Dante Jackson. He goes to the Chargers for cheaper and is playing better than Darius Slay. And honestly, he didn't play bad for us last year. He was just hurt a little bit too much. Now, how much difference would a Dante Jackson even have made coming back here? Probably not much. Maybe our secondary is a little bit better, but if the schemes are outdated and the players are showing lack of effort and we're getting smoked in the run game anyway, like, you know, I don't know if Dante Jackson improves our winning percentage or gets us to 7-5 instead of 6-6. We're probably the same exact record with Dante Jackson. It's just maybe our coverage is a tad bit better. Add Slay to the list of veteran players we sign and either move off of too early or they completely disappoint. Pat P, Allen Robinson, Levi Wallace. Who else? This year, Robert Woods, we tried signing. Van Jefferson. Yeah, list goes on and on. Even Dante Jackson's kind of an example, just one and done. Even though I didn't think he played bad for us, but we moved off of him pretty quickly, and it's not like he was a world beater for us when he was here. This mode of operation ain't it, and this goes back to Tomlin. It does, because in terms of how we're constructing these rosters year in and year out and trying to do the plug-and-play veteran stuff and taking other teams' talent or former talent that peaked, 3-4 years ago with a name and hoping that they can rekindle that flame here, it's just flat out right not working. It's not. There used to be a time where the Steelers were built through the draft and we had players developed and they were Steelers through and through. They knew the culture. They knew the standard. They grew up as a Pittsburgh Steeler, hit their peak, hit their prime. We maintained or we retained these players on the roster. They became leaders and then they taught the next generation. I'm thinking back to the 2000s into the early 2010s. Like, this was the case. Like, we had a team. We had players that were Pittsburgh Steelers through and through, that were together. There was a brotherhood. Those guys they're brothers, they're friends. Like, you see whenever they get together and they talk about each other for some of these reunions and stuff. Like, that's how it was. That's how it was in the 70s. I don't think we can say that about any of these Steeler teams over the last 4 or 5 years. And this type of stuff, this Darius Slay signing, is another example of that type of shit. Melvin Ingram, Darius Slay, Pat P. It's just not working. And you never hear anything positive about some of these guys, whether it's some of the draft picks that we've ran off over the last however many years, from Pickens to Devin Bush, Kenny Pickett, guys we haven't been able to retain after putting a big investment in them, Kevin Dotson. They never really say anything good about their time with the Steelers, at least from a football standpoint. Yeah, you have a Pickens or sometimes even an AB saying, like, oh, I'm still cool with Tom. I could call him up even to this day. Like, I don't have any problems personally with Tom. But they never talk about how they evolved and got better from a coaching standpoint or a football development standpoint at all. And, like, that's an issue. Like, Tomlin can be good with the players. You know, he's been known to be more of like a player's coach. Like, quote-unquote players want to play for him. But, you know, you hear that, but then we see the results on the field. It's like with Darius Slay. Lack of effort all over the place with Darius Slay. Missed tackles, and it's not just Darius Slay. We see it with the defense as a whole way too often. Way too many players on the defensive side of the ball. Not prepared, not showing effort. So, like, I mean, this whole thing just feels broken, our mode of operation, how we've been doing things. Like, we need a better vision, a better way to construct this roster. And I think the only way to do that is going to be a total rebuild at some point here. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we win out and, you know, everyone, they prove me wrong. These next 5 weeks, we win the division, we go on a playoff run, Super Bowl. I'm sorry. It's hard for me to say that I'm not going to be wrong on this one, because recent history is repeating itself here in 2025. But let me know your thoughts of this Darius Slay release down below in the comments. Stay chilling. Peace. Actually, not so fast, because we have more breaking news. Steelers made another transaction. They picked up Adam Thielen, wide receiver Adam Thielen, off of waivers today. And we know who Adam Thielen is. He's, you know, former Pro Bowl, all-pro type of receiver with the Vikings. Got traded to the Panthers a few years back. Actually, his couple seasons with the Panthers had some production, even last year, where you would consider Thielen definitely past his prime, borderline washed. In 10 games, 600 yards. Not bad at all, with Bryce Young as his quarterback. Now, this offseason, he ends up going back to the Vikings, and he does jack shit with them. You look at his production there, it's absolutely nothing. So he asked for a release from the Vikings just last week, so he's been chilling out there in free agency, or I guess off waivers. We put a waiver claim in on him, and the Steelers got him. It's funny because my reaction to this is, sure, like, I'm actually a little bit excited, because why not? We need to do some sort of change on offense. Thielen can't be much worse than Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson and some of these other weapons we got on offense in terms of being a reliable target for Aaron Rodgers. It's just like, why not? We need to try something different. I was complaining about that. I think in the post-game show after the Bills loss, and even like yesterday, it's like, we need to make some sort of changes somehow, some way. Obviously, we're not firing Terrell Austin. We need to try to do something on offense to get more explosive. Is Adam Thielen the answer? Probably not, but I don't care that we're taking a chance on him to be that guy that's maybe our next wide receiver too, across from DK Metcalf. Like, F it. It seems like the Steelers were interested in Thielen in the past. But the funny part about this reaction that I'm having right now to Thielen is that, isn't this along the same exact lines of a Darius Slay pickup or a Patrick Peterson, Allen Robinson, that type of stuff? But where we're at right now, middle of the season, trade deadlines passed. Yeah, we don't have much else to grab onto and try to really make like a big splash. So this is probably the best that we can do. So why not? Call MVS up off practice squad. I wouldn't mind seeing a combination of DK Metcalf, Thielen, MVS out there with one or two of the tight ends and some of our running backs. Because what else could we possibly do at this point to try to provide a spark to this offense, or just provide a spark to this team in general. So, sure, I'm good with Adam Thielen, man. I'm good with this pickup just because why not? Low risk, medium, high reward. I don't know. It's just a low risk move. It's a desperation move, Hail Mary move that if it works out, great. If not, we don't really have much else going for us anyway from an offensive standpoint. Let me know your thoughts, both the Darius Slay release and then also this Thielen pickup. Stay chilling. Peace.